Hello, all. Welcome to the Safe Space session. The Rakshan project by Sakshi is skill building 40 lakh youngsters in 40,000 institutes across India to recognize, identify, address, de escalate, report, and to resolve sexual violence in their own families and communities. Today's session is all about delving into some real talk on a topic that often gets brushed under the rug, that is, prevention of child sexual abuse. We are going to dive deep into the four barriers revolving around child sexual abuse, which are denial, silence, shame, and stigma. We'll be chatting with our guest today about the prevalence of child sexual abuse and gendered violence within families, the topics that often get hushed up or are ignored. We'll be keeping it very real, discussing how even with stringent laws in place, the issue persists due to systemic biases and maybe everyday misogyny. And we are not just here to talk, we are also going to explore our own responsibilities, roles as active bystanders, creating safe spaces for kids both in and out of our families. And with this, I invite our guest to the session today. Mr. Saakshar Duggal is a leading youth voice in India on the legal aspects of emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence and blockchain. With a strong commitment to fostering cyber resilience in India, Sir has been a distinguished guest at numerous esteemed forums such as the United Nations DRDO. With his book Cybercrimes during COVID 19 and Legal Issues in India and extensive speaking engagements worldwide, he is also a catalyst for awareness and not only awareness, action in the space of cybersecurity. Welcome, sir. So, sir, just to start with the first segment, to just get to know about you, what do you think has been your biggest achievement to date?
Well, thank you so much, Sakshi, for such a warm introduction. And I think when you talk about achievement, I personally feel it's an ever ending cycle. Why? Because whenever you achieve something, then you tend to get happy for, let's say, a couple of minutes, but then you say that, okay, I have to achieve more. So, yeah, I would not say I have achieved, but yeah, if you say some accomplishment, then definitely whenever I am able to create an impact and spread awareness on the emerging technologies like AI and how, how the current youth of our country can actually leverage this technology, and how, what are the points they have to keep in mind in order to leverage as well as be cautious enough to use this technology. So once I'm able to create an impact and I'm able to spread awareness in this regard, then definitely I feel that I have accomplished something.
So I think we lost you for a minute, but yes. So am I audible now?
Yeah, perfectly.
Okay, great. So, and who has been your inspiration in your life?
Well, my inspiration has been, I always believe that do not have a single role model. Why? Because you end up being a copy of that role model with respect to the positives and negatives of that respective person. So, my role models, there have been plenty of role models. There have been people from the sports fraternity, from the, from leadership of the country. There are different personalities, so I generally try to pick one quality of every major personality that helps me to create an impact in the society.
Okay, okay. And if I were to ask you if you could define yourself in possibly three words, or any three words that maybe capture your essence, what would those three words be?
Well, inquisitive for sure. Inquisitive,
Okay,
risk taking, and being stupid. Why being stupid? Because I love exploring things. So obviously, once you explore things, you end up failing a lot of times.
okay, okay. So, all right. And what has been the role of your parents in your journey? And a follow up question to that is, what kind of parent would you like to be to your kids?
Well, this is an interesting question, especially the second half. First half, obviously, my parents have played a pivotal role in my journey so far. Why? Because they've always given me the freedom to explore. I think this quality of exploring and failing has been inculcated because they only, from the beginning, they used to say that try n number of things as you want, and failing is, it's not the option; it's the only way out. So I think their role has been quite important. Number one, number two, yes, being a parent in the future, obviously, I would also uh, inculcate these qualities in my child, because I feel that without exploration, you can't. Because there's this stage, right? You explore, you fail, and then you end up finding something which is either your passion or something which is your calling. And at the end of the day, that makes you successful.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so tell us about your childhood. Any favorite memory of from your childhood?
Well, my favorite memory was that it was quite contrary to what generally people believe today. I used to hate studying. I used to, I used to bunk classes a lot. All those
Okay,
things which a child should not do in the school. I used to do that. But I think universe has its own balance. In my college and school life, I was just like that. Being active in sports, in theater, and everything. But on the other hand, I feel these things, I'm not encouraging to bunk classes, but at the same time, I'm saying that these things are important. Why? Because they give you a lot of experiences. Today, I don't remember what were my marks in my 12th standard, but I remember
sure.
different memories and different experiences that I've gained while interacting with different students, different teachers, and different professionals.
Okay, all right. Um, so we know how important is it to provide every child with a safe space, and how important safe spaces are, and especially in the times that we are living now. Was your childhood safe, and did you at any point in time while growing up feel unsafe?
Well, to be honest, I cannot say that my childhood was safe. Why? Because generally, yes, when you are in your, when I was in my house, or that was fine. But as I said, I was highly active into different activities such as theater, dance, music. So there you used to hear different cases, as well as sometimes you used to feel, that gut feeling, which we call as that gut feeling that, okay, these surroundings are not so safe for me. So I think, and it's not just about a country. Generally, also I feel, irrespective of the country or anything, a child is never safe in today's times, especially in the outer world.
Right. Okay. And we all talk about equality all the time. And what do you understand? What is your comprehension about equality?
I feel equality should be based upon context. You can't have that one shoe size fits all approach, because everyone has their different circumstances. Everyone is starting from a different position, irrespective, this can be their family background, their qualification. So I think equality with respect to anything, whether it's job, it's opportunities, it's anything, it should be given based upon the context and the background as to where the person is coming from.
Okay, so depending on the circumstances. All right.
Right.
And can you share an experience if you have ever experienced inequality?
Well, definitely I have, like a lot of times, like for example, in my school days, I used to see that it was like, obviously during my school days, we were growing up with this fact that, okay, boys and girls are equal. So that was this notion, and obviously this notion should be there. But the problem was that whenever you take a notion to the extreme point, it becomes a problem. So in that case, generally, whenever they were singing and dancing performances, so boys were not taken and girls were preferred. Why? Because they had this bias that girls are always better singing and dancing. So that was just a small memory, and
Okay.
I used to feel bad about it. But yeah, again, as I said, the quality should be based upon context.
And what do you think? Do you think that you've had a privileged life while growing up?
Well, no doubt, I have. I personally feel that I have had a privileged life because living in a metro capital of the city, capital of the country. Sorry, that is New Delhi. You get a lot of opportunities, and when as I was growing up, I was interacting with different students who were coming from other cities to Delhi. So I realized how privileged I am with respect to the opportunities and exposure that I have.
So, to shift the conversation to child sexual abuse in the context of the law, child sexual abuse, as at its most fundamental level, is an abuse of power, a showcase of dominance, authority, where a person with more power, typically an adult, exploits the vulnerability of a child, of children. So, from the lens of cybersecurity, from the lens of what you see through your profession, do you think stringent laws and harsh punishments are the solution to stop child sexual abuse or violence for that matter?
Well, I feel awareness and yes, stringent punishments. We have this concept called cyberbullying in the cyberspace, where
Right.
generally a child, or not just a child, anyone is bullied. Here we are talking about, yes, the power, but in the cyberspace, the interesting part is when you're chatting with another person, you don't know who the other person is. Sometimes we have seen cases where a 15-year-old is bullying a 50-year-old, or vice versa.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to say is that cyberspace is a funny space, yes, but at the same time, stringent laws are the only solution. Why? Because generally, and awareness. Because generally, when we hear cyberbullying, as I said, we tend to associate it with teenagers, but this can happen to any single person. So yes, awareness and stringent universal punishments, in fact, because cyberspace has no boundaries, no geographical boundaries, no jurisdictions. So a universal set of principles of laws can be of great help.
Okay. So, I hope you happen to watch the film that I shared with you, All I Want for
Right,
Christmas, just to
right.
deconstruct that film and what is your comprehension of that film. What do you think? What will the sister Didi do now?
Well, I think it's the situation that has been depicted in the film is quite alarming in nature. Why? Because this is, I'm sure it must have been happening in a lot of families. And with respect to this case, this
Sure.
story, I'm sure that considering the emotional trauma that her sister was having while watching her brother, she definitely must have confronted with, at least with her parents, to take some strong actions against her chacha.
Okay. And oh, all right. So if you're saying that she should have confronted her parents, whom do you think she should have approached first? Like, will she approach the father or the mother, in your understanding?
Well, in my understanding, I personally feel that she should approach both, but yes, more towards father. Why? Because being the chacha, that means his father's brother. So obviously, she can take her father into the confidence that he can take a certain straight away action. Obviously, her mom will also be in the picture, but at the same
Right.
time, as a child, she can easily, she can easily assume that the father has much more authority in this regard.
Okay. And will the father confront Chachu? What do you
Well,
think?
this is an interesting question. If you ask me, an ideal situation, he should. But at the same time, I'm sure a lot of, because we also deal in a lot of these kind of cases.
Right.
Cyber, they have the cyber element in it, and we have seen that the answer is a simple yes. But people don't tend to confront. Why? Because there are a lot of reasons. Sometimes they don't want to create an issue. Sometimes they feel, what will others say, their name will be spoiled, and this and that. And sometimes, to be very frank, they don't have the guts to actually confront the other person. I don't know why. It's a very strange thing that if the other person is doing wrong, you have the proofs, you have everything, and still you don't have the the guts, or at least you're not able to confront that person face to face. So that's a very strange issue that we also tend to see in different cases.
So, and if suppose they did confront, the father did confront Chachu, what do you think? What will the next step be? Lodging a complaint, or what do you think?
Well, generally, I'm sure, like if I'll back again and again, I'll go to the cyber angle. Why? Because that's my specialty. In
Yes,
generally,
yes,
when a bullying takes place in the cyberspace, there are different portals. For example, government has their official number of 1930, where you can call and lodge a complaint. There's this government's official portal called cybercrime.gov.in. There also, as a layman, it's quite a user friendly website. You can go and lodge a complaint. That's one. But the most prevalent part is that apart from all these complaints and everything, confrontation is the most pivotal thing. Why? Because at the end of the day, the laws today are not so clear cut, they are not stringent enough. If such an activity takes place in let's say Dubai or Singapore, then obviously we know the circumstances. They have such stringent and strict laws that no one dares to do such an activity. But in our case,
right,
fortunately, unfortunately, this is not, the laws are not so stringent enough. And therefore, I feel confrontation is more important. Obviously, you can't deny the reporting part, but confrontation is important. At least you're taking the person in confidence. And at the end of the day, the most important thing is your child will have the confidence tomorrow that whatever happens to me, my parents are here to stand with me.
right. So as we come to the end of this session, I will actually do a rapid fire session with you, and you have
Sure.
just 5 seconds to think, maybe or not. So should we start?
Sure, sure. Yep.
Yeah. So, what is your go-to comfort food?
Fish.
Okay, and what is your safe space? What, who?
Books.
Okay. What animal do you adore, or might as well resonate with?
Can I say a bird?
Yes.
Eagle.
Okay, and would you mind explaining it a bit
Because I
further?
love Eagle's attitude. I mean, it has where that term alpha attitude. A person who wants success in his life, I think one should just observe an eagle as to how that eagle,
Okay,
conducts itself.
okay. Um, Dream destination?
Australia.
Okay. Any reason to it? Any place that you're wondering to go,
Well,
willing
I've
to go?
just been once to Australia for 2 days, so I had heard a lot of things about Australia because my friends stay there. So I feel all those things, beaches, seafood, and doing sports activities. It's my thing. So I think Australia it is.
Okay. Describe your perfect day from start to finish to the end.
Well, creating impact in everyone's lives, whether small or big.
Okay. What does equality mean to you?
Equality, as I said, it's equality should be there. We should follow notions, but again, with respect to the context, because context, with while seeing the context, you can actually do justice to the notion of equality.
And if you had one magic wand, a wish that you can make, what would that wish be? Or what would you use that magic wand for?
I use it to have a time machine.
Okay. So you would like to go back or
Yeah,
in
I
the
like to
future?
go back, like wherever I can, whether it's in the dinosaur era or in the independence era,
Okay.
anything, because I love history.
All right, interesting. So there is a surge in cybercrime, and you know it better, especially against children, and more so because of the complexities that are posed by the emerging technologies. What would you suggest to the youth as to how to navigate the digital space, and also how can we ourselves create safe spaces both in the digital and the physical realms?
That's a very important question. And with respect to this question, recently there was this case in USA where children who are just 12 and 13-year old, they took the pictures of girls in their who were their classmates, and they used the deepfake technology to actually morph their pictures on a pornographic video. So
Okay.
these are the kind of cases that we are seeing, and I'm sure that this has happened in US. In some time, it will happen in India as well. So the question is that we have what can be done? Well, two simple things. Number one, being aware of your rights, being aware of what are the things right now. Like for example, deepfake. It's new. This deepfake, we all know about it, but with the advent of this artificial intelligence revolution, deepfakes are enhancing themselves, and therefore we should know what are these deepfakes. How can our videos and photos can be misused? How can generative AI actually hamper our respective respect and privacy? So being aware of your rights and the trends is very important. That's one. Number two is at least get a proper understanding of gender laws. There is this POXO Act in India, which just gives you a brief. If you're a layman, it gives you a brief as to what are your rights. And most importantly, that's the third point, is that you should have someone to have confidence, like let's say your brother, sister, your parents,
Right.
because generally in these cases we have seen that the victim is not reporting. Why? Because he or she is embarrassed of the fact that this kind of abuse has happened to me. But I think that's the hurdle that we have to cross. You have to confront ASAP. Why? Because without confrontation, I feel you are equally guilty as the perpetrator, because you're not reporting the crime that has happened to you,
Right.
the abuse that happened towards you. So I think take confidence and urge to take some action. If not legal, if not reporting, if you don't have any other resources and you feel helpless, then at least confrontation and taking a stand is a must.
Right. So, thank you, sir. As the Rakshan project by Sakshi continues its mission to create world free of child sexual abuse, of gender-based violence, it is also crucial to acknowledge the contributions of experts like yourself. Thank you for your time today. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation for this live session. Thank you so much, sir.
Always a pleasure, Sanya. Thank you.